Serious Former Nice Guys of Reddit. When and how did you change? Story 1. I was the worst. Totally am so in love with my best friend. Why is she dating that when she could be with me? I think as I got older and saw other guys doing it, it seemed so pathetic and sad that I just kind of snapped out of it. For the record, when I told that girl I loved her, she laughed. And that was the last time we ever saw each other. That might have helped with my transition. Story 2. I don't remember what put the thought in my head or how I came to the conclusion. But my thought was I want all these women. They don't seem to want me. Maybe I should focus on being the kind of guy they actually want instead of the one I think they want. I ended up ditching the part where I was bettering myself to get women and just focused on bettering myself, school, career, hygiene, living situation, and women coincidentally became more interested. Story 3. I'm going to copy and paste my previous response to a similar question watching The Hunchback of Notre Dame. I found myself rooting for Quasimodo through he movie, and when he didn't get with Esmeralda, I was mad, furious. He deserves to be with her for how noble and brave he has been. He should have her, and she should give him a chance. Then, I don't know why, but something clicked after that thought. Esmeralda clearly was happy with the other guy. I mentally flipped the script and realized I would not be saying the same if Quasi is handsome and Esmeralda was ugly. I also realized that Judge Frollo was the character who most shared my mindset at the time. He deserves Esmeralda, for he is so pure and good. Frollo being the antagonist caused me to really reconsider my thoughts on relationships, girls, and generally just the way I treated women. That was 10th grade, and while I don't have a girlfriend as a college sophomore, it doesn't bother me like it would have if I had continued down that course. Not much has changed in the 7 months that passed since I made that comment. Still no luck with relationships. But I'm trying to find new ways to improve myself. Most of my friends are girls, and the most advice I've gotten is be yourself. I do fear that I come off as a nice guy at times, since I tend to be polite and compassionate. But I think I'm comfortable with who I am. I don't expect a relationship to fall from the sky, nor do I expect anything just for being nice. But when I confide in friends about my frustrations, I worry that I come off as what I once was. Story 4. Basically, a few years ago, I really liked a girl, and she seemed to like me back. I sort of turned manipulative, but turns out she was just as bad. People always wondered what it would be like if a nice guy and nice girl got together. It's nothing but fighting and guilt. I realized how bad she was and got out of it, but in the process found out I was no good either. I changed quick after that edit, thanks for all the upvotes. As a newbie to proper posting, that's the highest number I've gotten yet. Story 5. As a former nice guy, I'm still figuring my out. I knew that my pathetic spinelessness and constant sympathy begging wasn't getting me anywhere in life. So I wanted to make a change. It came across as a complete lack in self-confidence, which was not attracting anyone. So I decided to carry myself differently, and it's helped. But like I said earlier, I'm still figuring my out. You should for sure be a nice person, but for the love of all that is holy, be genuinely kind. Not just nice to get what you want. Edit an old thread where I talked about my past nice guyness more in depth. That got big edit to the Redditor that said, I should say to be kind instead of nice is 100 right. Definitely a different connotation. Honestly, I grew up a bit. I was tired of always feeling that way, so I decided to grow up a little bit and start making changes to better myself. If everyone ignored me, I must be the common denominator, right? 3 years later, I'm a much happier person, and even my close friends had noticed the changes in my behavior. Nice guys, if you're anything like I was, you're literally making it harder on yourselves. Story 6 kind of just grew out of it when I saw being overly nice wasn't going to get me women's, apparently talking to them like everyone else, and not making a big show of a basic human kindness, lending your jacket to a chilly female friend, etc., will make most people like you. When you make a big spectacle of yourself about being nice, then people will see right through it. Story 7 stopped when a friend of mine said I was basically nice guys in a nutshell. After that, it never came off my head and I started to get more quiet and think before saying, though I'm still ashamed of my old nice guy personality. Story 8, I realized being a nice guy literally gets you nowhere because girls only think of you as a best friend or a brother. If your goal is to be seen as a potential romantic interest, being nice isn't going to work. I've always cringed at guys being really forward with women or being obviously flirty. But after lurking through life observing people fall in love, I've come to realize that obviousness has a real place in society, and there really isn't a subtle way to let someone know you like them girls can't read minds. So I've learned to be a bit more forward and honest with my emotions and intentions. I've learned to openly flirt. I've learned to stop being so clingy and needy when girls don't really that from guys they're interested in. And I've learned to be myself. Being yourself is the best thing you can do, which means throwing away the nice guy act and not trying to be a saint or a white knight, because it only convinces you that people owe you respect and attention, which they don't. Story 9, from the start of my junior year of high school to about winter vacation of senior year, I started putting forth my energetic yet surprisingly quiet nature as a personality rather than a design flaw. I started doing things as opposed to sitting back and avoiding judgment, as if other people's opinions really mattered. Once I was able to find myself, I no longer needed to draw sympathy from everything around me. I also developed opinions, which helped me find an identity and embrace places where I remained neutral and reinforced why I was neutral there. That one specifically helped out a ton with self-confidence. Of course, I still have my days. It sucks, but it never lasts long. Best part is, I still find time to be nice to people, as in actually kind. After all, nice guys are just the empty shells of normal guys, built on shallow reasoning and pandering to the basic needs of people, while lacking the necessary tools to keep anyone truly happy. All of that can be rewritten easily. Still a virgin, though, but that stuff takes time. I've barely got a foot into college, as a post-8. Story 10, the height of my nice guyness was when I was working at a movie theater. I never really pressured anyone into giving me a chance, but I was generally friendly with everyone, and I never made enemies. Until this one girl. She worked a shift while I worked night, so we hardly ever saw each other. But every time our schedule overlapped, she would make a point to avoid me, never talk to me, and just glare at me when she saw me. Finally, after a few months, I confronted her and asked why she didn't like me. Her response, "Not everyone has to like you," which got me thinking. At first, it was a lot of thinking it wasn't fair. She didn't even know me. I wrestled with this mental block for a few weeks, basically going through the 7 stages of grief. But with this scenario, then, when I finally accepted it, I realized that she doesn't have to like me, and I don't have to care either. After that, I got a huge self-esteem boost. What does it matter if someone thinks I'm better off being just friends? That's their opinion. And I don't have to care. I can stay friends and find romance elsewhere. Eventually, I did find my soulmate. We're happily married, have been for 3 years. We've never had what we would call a fight, but a few disagreements did happen. I break my own rule with her, though, because I definitely care what she thinks of me. Story 11, honestly, I read no more Mr. Nice Guy and joined an NMNG group. Being a nice guy is really about being dishonest and doing nice things for women or others for the sole purpose of creating an expectation that you will receive something back. Breaking that means not doing those things. If you want to be kind without any expectation that it will be returned. Else, don't do it. You don't have to. Story 12 used to be kind of nice guyish, unable to understand why Noon was interested. It's them, not me. I'm too nice and so on. Had a friend online who developed feelings for me that I did not reciprocate. Saw things on the flip side and kind of realized 2 things. You can't change who you have feelings for, and it's very entitled to expect someone to just feel the same way, and I would not want to date myself. So working on improving myself to address the latter. In more recent times, I saw a video about incels by the YouTuber ContraPoints that helped me further question my mindset. Would be curious of what current nice guys make of the video. Story 13, I got in shape and realized that women were suddenly attracted to me. It wasn't because I was too nice all along while I was overweight, imagining that every time I heard of a girl arguing with her boyfriend, I would treat her so much better than that. Story 14, when I was 14, I was the typical I need a girlfriend, I don't care who, kind of kid. Then I stumbled across Ryan Higa's channel and saw his Forever Alone video, where he makes fun of that crowd. Then he says something along the lines of, if you're watching this channel, you're probably top young to be stressing over finding a soulmate. Go out and just have fun with your life. I've never had something just click with me quite like that moment. Then when I embraced being single, all my friends thought I had low self-esteem and was depressed. I was actually having the time of my life those years. Thank you, Ryan. Story 15, loved a lot of friends that didn't love me back, not an obvious nice guy like I did fine with casual hookups and stuff, but I would get increasingly obsessive and jealous after finally getting close enough to want a relationship. It truly wasn't about because we would even hook up from time to time. It's just that I have a lot of experiences in my past, and a meaningful relationship always felt like the only way I could ever be a whole person. Even as friends, I already needed to feel a lot of control and demanded an unreasonable level commitment, except to me, it was always leading to an inevitable relationship, one that would be the deepest form of love, full stop. Every single one of those friendships ended terribly. The last one was the worst because I was genuinely trying to be a better person this time around and not make the same mistakes. It took a lot of therapy and thinking inwardly, but I realized that I would have been a terrible boyfriend. I was too wishy-washy about what I wanted because all I really wanted was to feel like I was in control and didn't have to worry about the other person's loyalty to me. I was basically addicted to a person and then got upset when they wouldn't get addicted to me back. And that is the epitome of nice guy, if you ask me. Kept trying to be a better person and more emotionally stable. I'd like to think it's working. Either way, my focus is now entirely on my life passions, and I feel strong despite the vaguely hollow feeling of still not quite getting how normal relationships work. But the difference is now I can pretty much laugh at it instead of diving face first into a pit of emotional despair. Story 16 TLDR, don't do things to meet girls because you want to meet girls ever. Just be on the lookout for girls along the way. I personally realized this in sophomore year of high school, so I never really hit nice guy mode. I was only ever in awkward, lonely teenager mode. But I'm one of the lucky ones. I'm generally charming enough that being a nice guy is just a good foundation I have. But I also remember being that socially awkward kid who had no idea what he was doing and had no real guidance, no good advice, and all I wanted was to not be alone. I still feel like that sometimes. When I was single, all I wanted so badly was to not feel so alone all the time. I was told multiple times in freshman year of high school, do X. You'll meet cute girls. I would do X, meet nobody, and come home disappointed because my goal was to meet somebody and feel less alone. At first, I felt nihilistic. I felt like I would never meet anyone at anything I do. So there's no point in going anywhere. No, I want to go to the park to meet girls because I want meeting girls, and then I'll come home depressed. Then I just decided to go do something I wanted to do, and I just focused on having fun. Was I still miserably alone? Absolutely, but I distracted myself from that for a while. That was the key. I distracted myself from my loneliness just long enough to meet somebody by sheer luck. And that was what I kind of realized. Meeting people is just dumb luck. There is no surefire way that you'll encounter someone. Sure, statistically speaking, you're more likely to meet someone doing X than Y, but just doing something that you want to do is going to at least help you feel more satisfied in the meantime. And that's what a lot of guys don't understand. If you torture yourself while you seek someone out, you'll only make it harder when you actually find her. That all being said, the nice guy stereotype is an incredibly unfair label to give guys. It's just kind of thrown onto any guy who's unhappy that a girl doesn't like him. There are absolutely guys who take it way too far, but I hold the belief that people do deserve to be happy, and it's entirely understandable for a guy to be upset after putting a lot of work and effort into try to make a relationship work only to get nothing out of it, especially since most of these guys do this a number of times and only really become upset after it continues to fail. Being alone, and not only being alone, but failing at not being alone is an incredibly shitty feeling to experience. Not everyone is going to be a super suave, charismatic lady killer. Not everyone has the skills needed to sweep women off their feet either. These guys have their niche interests which don't exactly woo the women they talk to. And so they have only one thing they can really bank on trying to make somebody happy. It's literally their only fallback plan. So of course they're going to feel like when they finally find a girl who talks to them, do everything they could do to not creep them out, only to end up with nothing to show for it. I can't blame them for being upset. And most of them just vent their frustrations online because they're upset. Then they get labeled as nice guys or incels, and they further bottle themselves up, going in an echo chamber where everyone agrees with them and just fosters more resentment. When I realized that the girls I liked were funny, smart, interesting, kind, and good-looking, at the same time I was nice, that's it. Why would a girl want to be with me when she had so much more offer than me? I changed when I went to university and started working out, joining clubs instead of spending all my free time in my room. Putting an effort into how I dressed was a big one too. I thought it was cool to not care about looks, but I just looked like a slob who wore track pants every day. A lot of guys would get more interest from girls if they put the slightest bit of effort into personal grooming and clothing. Story 17 for me, it was to simply let go of the social pressure of trying to get laid. I tried to listen to pickup artists. Then I quickly awoke into the truth that going out on a weekend just to get some boring is a literal waste of your mental health and physical energy. PUAs are frauds. They teach you to chase women, which is just needy and desperate. When I was nice, I would get rejected, but the feeling of rejection never registered. Instead, what I got was more of an uncomfortable feeling that hit me. Because I was doing something that was unnatural to my intention, like randomly approaching women at cold and trying to mine them for a number just to fulfill an ego and impress my friends, and for what? Then I changed my style and became a charming, loud, profane, nice clothes, ball-busting, but a gentleman. Young men of Reddit. You don't need as much as your friends say you do. Stop giving a free yourself of the pressure. If a good woman takes interest, see what happens. Just don't drive yourself crazy over it. It ain't gonna kill you if you don't get it. Story 18, understanding that no one really owes you anything. Finding out that it's easier and cheaper to be kind to yourself. Politeness and respect for everyone, but don't be a doormat. No one is running around trying to put hard dicks down for free, so you don't need to worry about going around trying to put out fires. Putting nice energy into usefulness can get you big wins. It is generally better for men to be useful than to be nice, but it does not mean that you should be a domineering. It is still good to be fair to people. Story 19, when I was in high school, I totally didn't understand why the girl of my dreams liked the bag when I was her best friend. These feelings continued on into college for a few varying women. It didn't help that my first real girlfriend cheated on me within a year with a dude. We got back together. I forgave her, and then she turned around and cheated on me again with the same guy. I ended up hooking up with a girl that I had attempted to date in high school. We had a few amazing nights hanging out and then a wonderful night of sexy times. I went back over to her place one morning only to find another guy there asking why I was there and why I was trying to hang out with his girlfriend. I was confused, felt cheated on again, still fresh, and walked away. I then ended up falling for yet another girl who was my best friend, and she remained the object of my affection for years, to the extent that she ended up being one of the reasons for why I broke up with my college fiancé when things were falling apart between us. I'm not certain if you're noticing a pattern with any of this, but it all felt very similar and cyclic to me. I would fall for someone, I would do whatever I can for them, I would make them the object of my desires, and then I would get cheated on and curse them for hurting me, the nice guy, whether they were with me hook up or not. And that's what's so dangerous about the nice guy mentality. It doesn't go away even if you get the girl. It stays around as a form of justifying any and all offenses done to you. She cheated on me, I was a nice guy, she won't date me, why I'm a nice guy, she wants to be with this other dude, why I'm a nice guy. I remember having one of those overly pretentious stories on my space about how I was the guy who would be there for when he hurt you, and I would be there to pick up the pieces. All of this was some sort of weak emotional cover for a few facts. 1, I was bad with women. 2, especially when dating them. 3, I did a job of listening to my partners. I don't know if it was the original breakup with my then fiancé, or the fact that the girl of my dreams wouldn't date me, or that I had some really awful dates after, but a few things happened to me. 1, I stopped caring so much about one individual thought of me. 2, I came to the realization that a woman can and should date whoever she wants. 3, that it's not at all the end of the world if a woman said no to me. I decided to start working on myself a lot more. I had a few selfish dates and hookups, changed my view on a lot to be far less puritanical, and focus less on dating and more on just having fun with people. And if it was a lady and we were friends and we felt like we might do something, then okay, we could. I did have a fairly dark phase of my life for a while. I wasn't ready to date anyone at all, and made that clear, but I did end up hooking up a lot. I started opening myself up and more and getting ready to date at a more serious level. I was working on myself physically, lots of weights, had a secure and well-paying job, and tried to maintain a really clean and nice home space. When I started dating again more in my adulthood, I did so with a few maxims. 1, I'd be absolutely candid about what I wanted. If I was truly into someone, then I would make that clear. If I wasn't, I would make that clear too. I would never fret or get upset if someone wasn't into me. I had heard and seen a lot of stories of the nice guy going berserk and calling women names for not dating or even talking to them, and I realized that could have been me at one point in my life. 3, I rejected ownership of any other person's actions. This is advice my father gave me, and it's something that has helped me in relationships, for both actual relationships as well as work and other types. The advice he gave was the only person you can control is yourself. Realizing this was so freeing. I can't control other people. I couldn't control Elizabeth cheating on me. I couldn't control Kelly cheating on me. I couldn't control Rebecca not wanting to date me. All of these were their actions, and I can't sit down and control them, and I wouldn't want to. I can only control myself. And if I can only control myself, I can't be upset if I give it my all, but someone isn't interested. It's their time, and that's okay, because to me, when I find the right person, they will want to give me their time. They will want to spend more time with me, and it won't be something that I will have to fight or get upset about. It wouldn't be coerced or feel obligated. That ended up happening about 4 to 5 years ago. I met a woman on OkCupid. We went on a date, and it was phenomenal. We ended up hanging out for around 6 hours on the first date. After drinks and talking, I drove her back to her place, and we made out in the car for a solid hour before saying goodnight to each other. We started talking more and more, sharing jokes and memes, and I was just so into her. I took her to some of my favorite places, and I think she ended up falling for me, too. We got married last year, and it's been a phenomenal relationship. We're two very different people, but we are so similar in our own ways. I hope that, in some way, helps answer the question. I think the change came from the inside. A realization that I can't control anyone but myself, and that women have the right and ability to date and be with whoever they want. If it's not me, that's okay, because there are a lot of women out there looking for many different types of men. Story 20, I found out that I was giving too many. Nice guys give too many. Illegitimate. Like, does she like my hair, or will she hate that I'm balding? Nice guys go in with the impression that their date should have the same passion about what the nice guy feels passionate about. The nice guy thinks that being chivalrous is enough to bet a woman. The nice guy has been deluded somewhere, somehow along the way. He can't be blamed, but he can be changed. Story 21. I'm an ex-hardcore nice guy. I used to post lots of rants against women. I loathe for how they do not want me, and how they prefer regardless of appearance. I even envy my best friend, who had a ton of girls chatting him. I was so infuriated that I almost reached incel-level behavior, until I watched a YouTube clip from the movie Megamind. The scene is where the superhero, created by Megamind the character, tried to win his crush by showing him he has superpowers and proclaims he's a good guy, but his crush said no and means that if anyone of you watched Megamind, you know what happens the rest of the movie. Soon YouTube started recommending me videos titled, "Why Being Nice is Bad for You." Started watching those, I was flabbergasted. I realized that being nice isn't really nice after all. Then YouTube recommended me Reddit videos, hence why I'm on Reddit now, LOL of compilations of our nice guys. Holy, the post looks similar to my previous attitudes, behaviors, and my loathsome aggressions. Perhaps if some of my posts were posted on our nice guys, it would have been on the top. Anyhow, I began to improve myself, becoming more social, lighten up my inability to accept myself. I read articles on differences of man and woman, watched more YouTube videos of alpha male traits and mindsets, and I realized that I measured my succession by how many girls I want to date. In fact, my best friend, who I envied, had actually wanted to help me earlier on how to get girls. He then called me out how I was that's why I can't get any girls. I was too stubborn and blinded by my own hatred. So yeah, I'm proud to call myself a former nice guy. Story 22. I used to be a nice guy, fedora and all. Despite only being a teenager, the internet has worn its course on me. Anyways, I stopped being a nice guy a while back when I decided this, and not going to get any with this, and I just want friends, and I just started treating people like actual human beings. Also, I'm no longer a guy, so nice guy can't even apply to me anymore. LOL attention. Serious tag notice jokes, puns, and off-topic comments are not permitted in any comment. Parent or child, parent comments that aren't from the target group will be removed, along with their child replies. Report comments that violate these rules. Posts that have few relevant answers within the first hour and posts that are not appropriate for the serious tag will be removed. Consider doing an AMA request instead. Thanks for your cooperation and enjoy the discussion. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit message compose. Tor Ask Reddit if you have any questions or concerns. Story 23. There was this girl I was into. She was seriously shy, and I started to invite her to stuff with my friends and me. She started to smile more, and I thought, hey, she smiles more, because I'm a technically yes, but not because I was so nice, but because she got to hang out with people, which I realized way later, so she must be into me. So I asked her, and she said no, but boy, I was furious. I started actually insulting her, and even made her cry over text. That was the first situation where I realized I was not the good guy in this story. I was an egoistical teen, but it first went better after she cut off contact, and I started to reflect on what I was doing. I apologized later to her. A year later, I dated another girl, but she ended it directly after a month, which led to more reflection and the realization that I just acted up a personality to get people to like me and got mad when that didn't work. While the second girl ended it, she said she was thankful that I wasn't getting mad at her, which kind of shook up my whole world because I never wanted to be the guy that nobody liked because he was aggressive if he didn't get his way. And after that, I mainly grew up and realized on the way that I never even liked the girls, but just wanted to have a girlfriend just for the sake of it. I never cared for the person itself. So I started to take a big break and get my together. Some years later, now I'm mentally stable and found a girl I really care for and who really cares for me. I still feel horribly sorry for all the things I said to the first girl. Story 24. My first or second year of college, a nice girl was interested in me, but I wasn't attracted to her, so I didn't reciprocate. Why was I thinking that just being nice was good enough for the women I was interested in, if it wasn't good enough for me? Story 25. I will be honest. I changed this year. A few months back, though, I was friends with this girl for about a few months' time. I had thought I could date her fast and quick, as per my unrealistic expectations. So in the summer, to get on her good side and Yedida, I treated her friend, and her sister out to Starbucks any chance I got. The receipt always came out a little above 20. It was quite a waste of money. And not only that, when we all sat on the table with my crush sitting next to me, I barely talked unless one of them asked me something. Literally nothing happened. Along with that, I bought them a fuck ton of gum and some makeup as well. When school started, it appeared to me that her friend wasn't really too happy with me, although she was really thankful about me informing her some dudes were taking pics of my crush. But that was it. We never ever talked again, and I have unfortunate luck to be sitting in front of her for bio. Anyways, I just saw that I was going nowhere with my crush, took a break from her for a while, and dropped the nice guy demeanor. I stopped excessively buying her gifts minus Christmas and her birthday, and started to focus on a feelings-based friendship rather than a material friendship. And from there, we're all goody. Story 26. You can still be a nice guy, but get laid. It's about intention. Most girls usually, their exceptions will see through it immediately if you only do nice things too for them in an attempt to date them. Be honest with what you want. This doesn't mean you walk up to a girl and say, hey, but you don't pretend you just want to be a friend when you really want to be anything, but also be an interesting person. Nobody cares if you are the best Apex Legend player out there unless you're another gamer. And even then, if you tell the story of OMG, I smoked this in 00B the other night, and that's the only interesting story you have to share, then most people will be left wondering, what, does this guy just play Apex all day, go outside, read a book, take a class in college, take a shower seriously? It helps backpack for a summer across the US or Europe or Asia, but maybe not the Middle East. Rule of thumb: if you're bored, you're probably boring. The last message I have is a mistake I personally have made multiple times and punch myself in the every time I think about them. If she gives you an opening, go for it. There's a girl I wanted to date so badly. Her, and I would sit in her car and chat for hours. It wasn't until it was too late that I realized she was waiting all that time for me to kiss her. And even then, it took her telling me that for the realization to come. There's no such thing as a perfect moment that exists in movies and fairy tales. So there's a nice guy who still gets what he wants. Sometimes. Story 27, I think the best way to put this, and it's echoed somewhat above, is that you could be a nice guy and still be assertive. I took assertiveness training to help me recognize what is a normal expectation and gain confidence in where and when it was acceptable to assert myself. Story 28, I just tried to observe why the women liked all the douchebag type of guys, and I realized it's really people who can take care of themselves, and they don't like those who are like knight in shining armor types who always put girls before themselves. For me, it has been my mental default that I want to help people, sometimes at the cost of my own needs or wants, but when I started taking care of myself, people started to notice. I also stopped expecting something in return whenever I do something for others, especially for girls. Story 29, honestly, I deployed to the overseas and bought companionship. Totally changed my perspective and realized the freedom and control they possessed. Kinda lame, but was not a nice guy for a while until I found a happy medium with confidence and sincerity. Story 30, being a nice guy is just creepy. You are essentially being up in the hopes that you might get laid someday. You're a bad faith actor that wants to also claim some sort of moral high ground over normal dudes. That's why chicks disqualify nice guys immediately when looking for people to date. Story 31, it took some serious introspection and realizations of how relationships work. Society kind of conditions boys into believing that relationships are reciprocal, that if you do something, you'll get something in return. Realizing that romantic relationships don't adhere to that totally changed my behavior for the better. It's actually super freeing. I don't think anyone who wasn't a nice guy realizes how much work that mindset is. You reinforce the idea that whoever will like you if you just work a little harder at it. So you keep on doing more and more work and get nothing in return. You either have to change your mindset or you go crazy and shoot up a yoga studio or something. The change happened when I was 18 or 19, and it just freed up so much time. Previously, if a girl I liked mentioned she was moving or needed stats tutoring or something, I'd be the first one offering to help. After, if it wasn't immediately clear we were vibing, I would just say good luck. Like the things I used to consider being were just normal social responses, and the I thought was being nice was just doormat material, trying to dishonestly manipulate her emotions. I think a lot of the reason why I was a nice guy in my teens was a lack of father figure. I never had anyone really explain, from a male point of view, how getting a girl works, so I had to base it off of in popular culture. Really, the best thing to tell young guys is that it is okay to be outwardly selfish when it comes romance, because all the people you're trying to get with are, and the alternative is being dishonestly selfish. Story 32, I started avoiding interactions with women I didn't already know or have to interact with, stop being so nice, and I only date women who show interest in me first. Story 33, gruesome, and stopped trying to be what women wanted me to be, and instead was myself, stopped caring about what others might think, started being assertive and positive and standing up for myself.